All righty. Well, we are going to wait a few minutes to get everybody in here, but I look forward to talking to you guys about securing your clients and securing their future by data privacy essentials for MSPs. What you guys need to know and what you guys need to be talking about to your clients. But we'll give a second here while everybody's joining. But good to see everybody. And Jake, how are you doing today, sir? How's is Texas warm or is it cold?
Will, it's been incredibly cold here. I think I was speaking to a colleague of mine up north. He said, I don't want to hear you gripe. Texas isn't cold." I said, "Man, just go ahead and Google the weather here, man." I think it was at -8 degrees here. I mean, it was just
Jeez.
absurd. Yes.
Yeah. Now, for all of you guys, Texas is a huge place. So he's in West Texas. So it gets a little bit colder than it does like in Houston and in places like that. So, but yeah, it has been freezing. It has been negative here in Atlanta, but it's definitely been in 11 degrees, which is cold enough for me. I live in the South for a reason. But well, guys, I appreciate everyone being on. Today, we're going to be talking to you guys about securing your clients and securing their future and talking about data privacy essentials for MSPs. Really, just a quick, hey, what do you guys should be talking to your clients about when it comes to data privacy? My name is Will Nobles. I'm the CEO here at Visibility, as well as you guys know me from being out in the technology marketing toolkit community. One of the things I want to mention here is that I am doing a series about MSP growth. We're going to be doing, and as part of TMT and myself, we're doing that in Orlando. The first one's going to be in Orlando, February the 15th. My team will throw it in the chat there for you guys as well. But Orlando, February the 15th. It's if you are looking at buying companies, if you're looking at selling your company, heck, if you're just looking at getting your company house in order so it looks pretty, because no one likes being told their baby's ugly. I encourage you to guys to go to the MSP Growth Day there. It's a 1 day event. Some pretty good speakers there, and I definitely encourage you guys to go. And if you guys want to actually do a dinner with me, I think they're selling. They sell my soul sometimes, but they're selling a dinner of 10 people going to dinner with me that night, asking me all the questions in the world about M&A and anything else about MSP business. And you get a free dinner and drinks on it as well. So encourage you to take a look at that link. Like I said, my team will throw that in the chat for you guys. Also today, I have Jake Mitchell. Jake is our VP of Business Strategy. Jake, thanks for so much. So to take a time up, because I know you're busy. You better be selling at least, or have the team selling, right?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. We're putting the numbers on the board, but I can take 30 minutes out. No doubt about that.
Good deal, good deal. And guys, if you guys are interested in compliance and understanding what CMMC and how to sell compliance, feel free to scan this, get the free book there, the compliance formula for that. Let me tell you a little bit about what Visibility MSP does. So, bottom line, when it comes to cybersecurity and compliance, we want to be the company you guys go to. Besides dealing, and where we really help is besides dealing with the large vendors and having to get locked in contracts and stuff, you can come to us and we can help you with your cybersecurity needs as well as compliance. And a lot of changes in compliance happening, guys, all over the place between CMMC to FTC safeguards to PCI. The compliance is constantly changing. Every state has a type of compliance, and you guys need to be aware of that and at least know how to talk the talk. Now, you might not be able to know how to deliver that. That's what visibility is here for, is to help you deliver those white glove services when it comes to cybersecurity and compliance. You guys can white label us. We're there, part of your team. A lot of you guys have used us already. So some of the team members, the executive team here, myself, Mike Bazar, some of you guys know him as well from the TMT community. John DePero, Bo Dickey, Jeff Farr, and Sarah Sawyer is our executive team that makes up the leadership for visibility. And then why should you choose us? So going back is one, you're able to compete against those mega MSPs that have the staff, that have the bigger companies, and the team to actually provide that to your customers. So it helps you from not losing those clients to the larger companies, as well as you can get coaching calls between coaching calls or full day sessions with me, Mike, John, and Jeff about whatever topic you want. I'm actually going to Birmingham later in the month, and I'll actually be meeting with an MSP, helping them grow their company from where they're at today. And everything. So again, what we provide, security as a service and compliance as a service. I'm going to give you a QR code at the end where you can schedule a time to meet with us and talk a little bit more about us. But let's jump right straight into it. David, data privacy essentials. Right now, cybersecurity is obviously huge. It covers a lot of area when it comes to technology. And I know a lot of our clients think, oh well, because you know IT, you have to know this, you have to know programming, you have to know everything in the world about technology, right? Jake, when you're talking to clients, um, and what's the expectation sometimes that a client, or a misconception that a client might have of what an MSP really can do for them?
I think all too often it's as though the head is stuck in the sand or a deer in the headlights. That's kind of that's the look that I get pretty often whenever I speak with a client, just because it's cybersecurity is scary. Privacy is scary. We come from uh, a society that we're used to privacy being broken when somebody breaks into your house or breaks into your car, and now we've got digital privacy, and that's something new to folks. So I see folks try to shy away from talking about that. One of the big things that folks don't understand is how much their data truly is worth. I hear from folks so often, I don't, quote unquote, I don't have anything of any value, or my data is all in a cloud. And what is not as prevalent as I wish it was is that folks don't understand that your Netflix password is worth money. Your Spotify password is worth money. Your grandkids' pictures are worth money. If it means anything to you, I think that's the best thing I hope people take away from this. That if it means anything to you, it means something to somebody else, and they can extort you for money out of that.
Yeah, and when when they're trying to explain data privacy, one of the biggest things is, and I using an analogy, I was talking to a vector choice customer, one of our MSP customers the other day, and he swore up and down he did not need cybersecurity. He doesn't need that stuff on my machine. Well, after talking to him and really getting him to understand, hey, you do take credit cards. Hey, and then it come to find out that his employees were using a link on their personal phones for the customer to put their credit card information on there. And and I said, I had to explain to him. I said, think about this. How many of your employees potentially are going and watching, I hate to, sorry to not offend everybody, watching porn on the weekends or at night, and then taking someone's credit card on their personal machine? And I said, I hate to be that frank about it, but it's fact, right? There's no security around that. So, and I think it's really getting people using analogies that people understand. The analogy of your home, right? You have flood insurance, you have fire insurance, you have insurance on your home just in case, right? Majority of us probably have not ever used in home insurance, or a small factor of that, right? Uh, and and then thank God we don't have to use it, but you still have it, right? But it's the same thing, even though you have your home, and you've got your land, you got your border of your land, and then you got your locks on your doors and your deadbolts, and you got your security system, you got a gun, you got a dog, you got layers of security. Using analogies when it comes to educating your customers is the huge part, right? Had a call with the MSP earlier today, and he was struggling to sell cybersecurity, um, but he was just letting people say, being okay with people saying, "Oh, we've got that taken care of. We're good." Right now, Jake, how many times have you heard the sales team get that. Hey, we're good. We don't need your help. How many times do you hear that?
Pretty much every sales cycle. No
Yeah,
doubt about it.
and and the way to spin that, guys, is and Jake and I teach our team this is, hey, I'm glad you have someone because I would be concerned if you didn't, right? And make them feel better about they are doing something, but just like XYZ and use their industry or use that target market that you're calling into a scenario of why, if it's a dentist, right? I have clean teeth. My teeth don't hurt. My mouth doesn't hurt. They're shiny. I don't. I brush my teeth in the mornings and the afternoons. Why do I need to go get my teeth cleaned twice a year? Right? It's preventive maintenance. For that. So if you're talking to a dentist, use that as a scenario, right? I am taking care of my teeth on a daily basis, but I still come to you to get my teeth clean. Now, why is that, right? And start using those analogies that they get and understand. And so I know I was, got off board of data privacy there, but I think that leads in going into data privacy as well. Is, you know, how is that data handled? No matter where you're at, I don't care if it's in their EMR system or their CRM system or their website. How is that privacy really handled? And then you get into the compliance landscape, right? And not really go down to compliance today because I don't want to go a lot of compliance. But you got the GDPR; they're huge with data privacy. I mean, all their documentation is mostly around data privacy. And for the ones that don't know, GDPR is a EU-based law that they established. I think it was in 2017, 2018, that was established there to handle data privacy all the way down to the consumer, not just businesses and not people doing B2B, but also the consumer level as well. And then you've got the California Consumer Protection Act. That's just one. You got the New York Shield Act, right? Pretty much every state has a compliance, and the baseline of most of this is around data privacy. So we'd encourage you guys, again, not going down a lot of compliancy today, but encourage you guys, look at your least local states and that information is covered around data privacy, and learn that and really get educated about it. And then we'll go into the cloud, right? The everybody thinks the cloud is secured, backed up, nothing can happen, right? Just like the client I was telling you about was taking credit cards. Why he felt that he didn't have to have security on his computers because all the data was in the cloud. Now, granted, all of us sitting on this call is laughing, saying, well, that's an idiot move. Well, that's what our customers and my customers and your customers think as well, is that it's a misconception that everything is taken care of because it's somewhere else, right? Jake, how do you handle this when you're talking to the customers or you're teaching the sales team to talk to customers, that misconception about the cloud?
Uh, it's kind of funny. I tell them, you realize you're just putting your data on somebody else's computer, right? Like, it's really simple.
Simplest way to say it.
It's just, I mean, it's just like going and putting all of your data over at your neighbor's house and saying, well, I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's just the neighbor's got a whole lot of money, right? I mean, that's essentially all it is. You're putting your data on somebody else's computer. Another part that I do, that I combat that with, is that Microsoft 365 is something that can relate to our clients. They understand what Microsoft 365 is, and giving, again, an analogy or an example or scenario where if a plane crashes into a data center on one coast and it knocks out all your 365 data, Microsoft is definitely going to restore that data. But if you get ransomware, or Betty in the front office deletes everything from your SharePoint folder, and you go to Microsoft and say, I need your help, they're not going to help you out. They're going to ask you to go find a qualified individual. So it's a shared responsibility. There's a stat out there that 95% of all data breaches will be at the fault of a user within your organization by the end of 2025, which means that the folks in the cloud are really going after their own best interests. They're not going to help you out with your stuff It's just a fallacy that it's more secure than anything.
Yeah, and I think that's really the education, and do these things like we do these webinars with visibility and technology marketing toolkits does tons of webinars that educate you guys. And what I encourage you guys is educate your customers, your prospects, your suspects on what is out there. Make it evergreen. Use it on your websites. So people you can always, or your sales team can refer to it if you're having that conversation. Hey, go watch this and then tell me, if I'm still wrong, right? I don't say it that way, but you know what I mean. um, so the cloud piece of it, there's a lot of law around data encryption, the data access control and authentication. And in our minds as IT people, we're thinking, hey, this is basic security, this is should what you should be doing. But there's laws that push this from the data policy standpoint that you need to be thinking about, right? Data at rest, the encryption of the data. Make sure you're monitoring and logging how that data is coming in and out. So these are all things that, even if it's in the cloud, that needs to be taken into effect. Now, talk about websites real fast. It's so funny that I was about to do this and I saw an email pop up from someone marketing to me and said, lawsuits against Inc. 5000 companies, right? So I opened it and I read it and it said, there's a lawsuit now that are going around that people that made it on the Inc. 5000, um, if their website is not what's the right, not data protection, but the vision impaired enabled act, that there's a lawsuit going around suing companies that are on Inc. 5000 and really just telling me, hey, make sure your website is that way. Now, our website is that way to protect us from that and make sure we honor that. But that is something that you could be having the conversation with your clients. You might say, well, Will, I don't do websites. That's fine. But at least have that conversation so you are the expert that they're going to listen to about different things. And so you look at websites, some of the things that, pulled from GDPR and other data protection acts and stuff, the privacy policy, right? Websites should have clear, easily accessible privacy policy that outlines the data collection, right? You have to have that on your website, period. Data security, I'm not going to read all these, but websites should be implementing appropriate security measures to protect the personal data for unauthorized access to the closure and destruction, right? What is the process? Do you have tools on your website that it might be your CRM and you're filling out forms, or you might have data logging on your website so you can see tracking who goes to your website and everything? What is that policy in your company to destroy that data at a certain period of time, right? Because you can't just hang on to that data forever based on a lot of, especially GDPR and everything. And I'm not going to go into international compliance on this call today, but you got third-party services. And this is where I was talking about, if you're tracking technology, websites should be transparent about any third-party services or tracking technology they use and how these may impact user privacy, right? So if you have something tracking on your website, are you being open and honest about inside your privacy policy? Now, you don't have to big a big giant banner on your website saying, "Hey, I'm tracking your ass," but you've got to make sure you at least share that, and that's something that you guys need to think about with your own website. Again, getting customers thinking in this manner, just about something as simple as their website, that they know that you're taking security and compliance serious, where then the rest of it can fall into other areas. Jake, on the data governance side of things, I know you guys, between John DePero and with your help and everything, is selling a ton of compliance as a service services and stuff. And I know John talks a lot about data governance. How are you selling that to our clients?
Well, frankly, it's really just asking questions and getting their mind thinking about it. One of the best ways that I found to sell it, take the insurance policy, for example. Just point blank ask the client, how many times have you filled that out? And just hit yes. but you really don't know what you're saying yes to. But you filled it out because you have to fill it out, and you hope that we're doing it. That's really what governance is, right? It's about verifying that what you're supposed to have in place, you actually do have in place. And whenever we get down to the nuts and bolts of it, speaking to the client and saying, give me your questionnaire next time it comes out. And let's take a look and see how many of these things that you believe that we're doing that we're actually not doing. And it's not because we don't want to protect you, but it's because everything's got a cost. We have, there are so many standards out there at this point that we as a company, we can't put every single tool out there. We'd price you out of the water if we tried to make one package that fits every single standard. So let's take a look at it. And once we actually take a look at their insurance policy or whatever standard that we're looking at that point, and get them to answer the question or ask the questions, and we go through that instead of just handing them a paper saying, here's what you need to do. If I can place the blame on the insurance person or the government or whoever it might be that is forcing them to do that, it's a really easy sell at that point because it's I'm not doing it. I'm not the one that told you that you have to have two factor. I'm not the one that told you that you got to have this specific VPN. I didn't tell you that. I've got the tool that you want. So if you want to answer yes, then either commit fraud or buy something from me. I mean, that's at the end of the day. That's essentially what it
I
is.
think that might be a compelling point. Commit fraud or just buy
Yes.
it. So, data governance. Look at some important things like the data stewardship. Assign responsibility for the quality of the use of data specific individuals or teams within the organization. So pretty much you're saying assign someone to make sure what you are supposed to be doing, you're actually doing, right? And I think it's like data flow. This is sort of a part of data flow as well. Do you know how the data flows within your organization, where all the data's at in your organization? I look at, people will have stuff in Dropbox and they'll have stuff on Teams or SharePoint, the Microsoft platform. They might have data here, but how is that data actually flowing? How is it protected? Is it backed up? Really just that whole storage piece of it. And then the data lifecycle management, managing data from creation to archival or deletion in a systematic way. Like, what is the process of your MSP as well as your customer? How they handle their data when it comes in and out of their environment. How long? Because a lot of people, data has gotten so big that people used to keep stuff forever, right? Now we have clear pictures, like for our managed services side, is that if you leave us as a managed services client, I forgot what the time frame is, but we are so many days or whatever that we keep your data and then we delete your data out of our system because that is not our data to manage anymore. So once we hand everything over to you, we have a clear policy of what that deletion of that data is to even our customers that would leave us one day, right? You never know. I mean, the client will leave, an employee will leave, right? So data standards and policies, establishing and enforcing standards for data naming, definition, and use within the organization. How are you naming? I've got one client that has to be um, uh, um, they have to be NIST and CMMC, but they have to international for doing DoD. So they actually have file servers and shares that are separated on ITAR. Excuse me, thank you. ITAR compliance. So they have an ITAR volume, they have a non-ITAR, right? So they have to know where to place that data. So what are those standards and procedures there for that as well? So identifying data breaches, right? What is a data breach? And you got the ability to define that for your customer. What is a data breach? And not, I don't think it's necessarily you defining it. If they don't have any policies or legal laws or anything to go by, yeah, you probably can define what's considered a data breach for that company. But I would look at the laws in the state or federal level of what is a data breach and what do you have to do? What is the reporting requirements, right? These are other things that you can educate your customers about that will get them thinking why cybersecurity is important, because they don't want to report a breach. And by law, if you cover it up, you're just as guilty as they are. So you don't want to be in a situation where you have to be stuck covering something up for a client. How to tell your clients, and not your clients, but how does your clients educate their consumers of that data breach? What are the policies that you have to go through? So these are things that are non-technical things that you can be sitting down having a conversation with a customer, and not going to the nuts and bolts of technology, right? You can then sell a solution that says, hey, this solution, yeah, it does include IT support, and it does include this and includes this, but this solution is going to take care of all your needs that you truly need for your organization. So that leads me into monetizing this, right? Privacy enhancement technologies. What are tools that you can recommend? We all always go back to think of MFA and antivirus and EDR and SOC and SIEM, but what are other tools that you can recommend to a customer to keep their website safe and properly updated from a compliance standpoint or a data protection act standpoint? um, you know Even get into data privacy consulting, right? I mean, that, again, it's touching on IT, but that's another form of revenue for you. Secure data sharing and collaboration. How does that flow within your organization? So there's so much more ways to monetize this and make money as being an MSP than just being an MSP, right? I think that's where I really want I'm saying it. So Jake, you know, you've been, because Jake, so everybody knows, Jake came when me and Mike Bazaar merged our companies together. Jake was the VP of sales for Mike, and Jake's been in the technology world for several years. He came from the ISP. uh, you know Jake, how have you seen the used to I'm going to sell fixing your computer to now a total solution? How have you seen that change over the years?
Well, it was break fix at one point, and then he went to managed services, and that was the hot deal. Cybersecurity was the add-on after he went to managed services, and now the world is moving to compliance. That's really where you're gonna make your money. At some point, we're gonna see, very much like break fix and managed services, that compliance, I'm sorry, the cybersecurity is just going to be a right of entry into this business. And so if you can't do that right, you're not going to be able to survive. But the winners out there, the folks that are really going to monetize, are the folks that are going to be proficient in compliance. Because folks, this isn't going away. We've got every state has their different privacy laws, but at some point it's going to be a national, right? At some point we're going to have many more regulations that come across this. And if you're early in the game, you can be established and be able to say, hey, I've been doing this since before it was popular. Otherwise, now, as everybody knows, everybody and anybody is trying to become an MSP, right? Where you're going to separate yourself is becoming an expert, a SME, if you will, a subject matter expert in compliance. Or even if it's just one wing of compliance. You don't have to do CMMC. You don't have to do NIST. Those are hard. Those are very difficult. But HIPAA, PCI, FTC, you can do those things. You can do those things today if you dedicate resources to it. If you can't do it, come see me. I'm more than happy to help you.
Definitely, definitely. So, guys, bottom line, one reason we wanted to do that this week is because this week is Data Privacy Week 2024. And really trying to spotlight how data privacy is so important across the globe and everything. So maybe it's something that you might promote on your social media, getting people interested. Try to create a social media post the day or tomorrow to get people interested in talking to you about data privacy when it comes to their whole company, not just that IT portion of things. And again, like Jake said, if you guys need us for anything, feel free to schedule a call here. I think that goes to Jake's calendar. If you guys need help with cybersecurity compliance and offering that to your customers, like I said, we can white label it for you guys. We go as your team. We do that quite a bit for a lot of MSPs all over the country. Be glad to help you. We're here just to get the message out to you, help you grow your business so you can be successful as well. Jake, thanks for being on today. Everybody, thank you so much for being on today. I hope this small tidbit of information about data privacy helped. Have a good one.
Thank you, everybody.